Hello and welcome. In today's lesson, we'll be talking about the purpose, goals, and vocabulary of our new unit, Unit 15, which is about computational thinking. Quick look back, last week we did a survey of 202 students who responded about what their interest level was in a bunch of different area topics. Here's a quick look at the overall data, but there's one that really jumped out, and that was the virtual reality. Roughly 80% of the students surveyed said that they were either curious or very interested, and that's a significant number. Now, we don't have any equipment for this, but we will have a mini unit that will use some videos to really give us a better understanding of VR. Runners up here were also interesting to me. Coding and programming, pretty highly rated, and robotics and automation, also right in line with our new unit. So computational thinking is not really thinking like a computer, but thinking like a computer scientist. Okay, we want to understand and solve problems. We use technology to help us with our research. We develop and test solutions, and ultimately end up into a coding situation. Computational thinking is often considered a pre-coding type of a skill set. At the end of the day, we want you to think like a problem solver. Okay, it's all about logic. So a flow chart creates an algorithm. Now, algorithm is just a fancy word for a series of steps, right? But what's a flow chart? One sample is right here in front of you. Now, let's say we wanted to create a program where a user would go all the way from the sign up all the way to enroll. In the very first step, the user would have a choice of either using Google authorization or enter their personal information. If they sign up with Google, they have an authorization. Next step would be the Google integration. Next step, is it successful? If so, then create the account. If they go through the sign up page here and then enter their personal data, it may ask for an email. And then they'll check your password. If your password's not strong, you might need to go on a loop and get that fixed. And then you can create an account. Is it an email? Well, there might be steps here to confirm that the email is working. If it is, good. If it's not, we'll change it. So you can see the steps here that go from one to the next to create an algorithm that the computer can respond to based on the user's choices. When we talk about the 9 skills of computational thinking, they can be bundled into 3 different related groups, although they can be used at any time. The first set of skills is the first 3: data collection, data analysis, and data representation. What do you notice about all 3 of them? Right? It's gathering information and finding what that information means. Some samples of digital visualization or data representation, both terms are easy to use. We saw before, there's our results, and here's some examples of some really beautiful charts and visualizations that really help us understand what all that data means. Our second group of computational skills is in red, where we look at problem decomposition, abstraction, and then algorithms and procedures. Let's look at the first one. Decomposition, the word there is decompose, which means to break something down. So we break down the problem into little parts, and then we solve it one part at a time. Abstraction is a fancy way to say thinking about it in theory. What's the most important thing? And then really concentrating on the big picture. Finally, algorithms and procedures, that's our step-by-steps and the rules that the computer program will follow. So that's the kind of the heart of what we've done once we've collected the data. Our third group of computational skills is automation, simulation, and parallelization. Automation means that humans are required to do less because it's being automated through technology. A simulation is where you can kind of pretend that you're going through a scene once you set up all the criteria. And then parallelization is when things kind of run side by side. And you can have multiple things running at the same time, which really increases efficiency. So the definitions for all these are right here. Don't worry about it. They'll be available to you in the 15.1 assignment. Speaking of which, when we go into the Google Classroom in the classwork section under today's task, there's 2 assignments. The first one is that virtual reality piece. We're going to look at a quick ed puzzle, kind of get some basic understanding of what it is, and then we'll continue our study of that later. The most of our work today is going to be in the 15.1, which is a booklet, focusing on the vocabulary that we just talked about in computational thinking. Quick reminder of how to sign out of a Windows device. Click on the Windows app menu, and then your name will pop open. Click on that, and then click on Sign Out. Okay, that'll do it for this. It's time to get into the ed puzzle and then finish with the booklet, and good luck in Unit 15.